First of all, I'm going to demonstrate what we call cross-hatching. So remember, instead of taking your pencil and going like this to be drawing, although you can do this if you're very careful and you do it very precisely, you can do it this way. A lot of artists like to go like this. Maybe hold their pencil a little bit loosely and then use your shoulder to kind of just go, use the side of the pencil, and then just kind of go very, very slowly in a horizontal line like that. And trying to stay about as even as you can with the pressure. That means how hard you push down. Like that. And you kind of get a nice, even shading all the way across. Maybe there's a little bit of a darker area, maybe about right here. Try to keep it even. And then what you do, so this is horizontal, then what we do is kind of do a vertical version of that. Like this, same kind of pressure. And then we just move up very slowly. It's very important to take your time at doing this. If you don't take your time, it's going to look something like this. And just try to do it as fast as you can. And then if you try cross-hatching them, you're just going to miss a lot of different spaces and it's going to be kind of completely even. So you want to take your time in doing this. I know sometimes it seems like it might be boring, but when you finally get the result of this, it's really, really rewarding. So this is called cross-hatching. So now we're going to take our template. This is our template here. And we're going to take 4 pieces of tape because we want to keep it down. And now what I'd like you to do is to take your template and probably place it kind of about in the middle of the whole thing, the whole piece of paper that you have. Hopefully you can see that. And then what we'll do is we'll take 4 pieces of tape. Make sure it's nice and flattened out. Piece here. And ask for somebody to help you out if you need that. So now all of this paper, now all of those are on there. Now all of those are on there. And we can't move the template, which is exactly what we want. And then here's what I would like you to do is, if you know how to make a moon, which is kind of like a half circle, let's just kind of make a moon shape like this. It doesn't have to be a perfect moon shape. It just has to be something that kind of looks like a moon. Okay? Just like that. See how that's not really perfect? And then what I want you to do is try to maybe divide that in half a little bit. It doesn't have to be perfect. Just put one more line in there. It could be a jagged line because this really does not have to be perfect. It's just giving you a division between some of the darker shadows that we're going to do. So this is going to be kind of a ball, and the light's going to be coming from about this area right here. Light's going to be over here somewhere. It's going to be shining down. So this area of the ball is going to be a lot lighter, and then this area is going to be a lot darker. So what I'd like to do now is we're going to try to do some cross-hatching. Instead of going lines like this, we're going to kind of go a little bit slanted like this. So we're going to start on the bottom end and try to push your hand on this area. And the cool thing about this is if you push your hand here and you just lightly go over here, your pencil will not go beyond that line. So it's kind of like a little guardrail for your pencil. Just go like this and then kind of push it down. Really do this slow, okay? This is really important, and do this really lightly to start out with. Okay, just move it. And what I'm doing here is I'm keeping my pencil, keeping my lines right about where this is at. If you go over, it's really okay. It's fine. Just somewhere in there, as a matter of fact, I'll go over there a little bit just to show you that it's okay. And then I'm going to keep kind of turning my hand in here. If this is hard for you to do, like to turn this way, you can still kind of do it like this way, a little bit easier. But the reason that I'm doing it this way, and you can even turn your paper, that might make it a lot easier too. The reason I'm doing it is so my pencil actually hits our little guardrail there, and then it goes down. So you want to keep doing that, like that. Keep your pencil line really close together. If you end up like this and you go like that, just remember you can go over that. It's okay to do that. We want to make sure that we get a pretty even coating, so to speak. Okay, I'm going to go all the way down to where it ended, somewhere around here. Okay. Then what we're going to do is we're going to go and we're going to do some cross hatching. Try to do it this way. So if the line's going this way like that, what we're going to want to do is have the lines kind of against it. We can do that. And this is doesn't have to be perfect. If you have lines that are going this way, like let's just go up here. If you have some lines that are going like this, I'm just going to try to do this really fine, really quickly here. Let's just say we had a small area like that, and we want to cross hatch it. You don't have to perfectly do it this way. You can do it this way as long as, whatever's the most comfortable for you, as long as it's getting kind of crossed. And you're getting another full set of lines going across. You're getting it to the point where you want it to be. So with this, I'll take these, and then I'll make sure that my hand is over the circle again, and I'm just going to go like this. And I'm going to kind of do it like that. I'll do it really slowly as far as how I'm moving across. I'm going to do that really slowly. And really, I'm going to try to do this part really slowly too. Like that. And see, my lines are going like this. So I really want to kind of maybe be a little bit more like this. The goal of this is to make sure that we're having one line in one direction and one line in the other direction, because that covers up all of your white paper underneath it. So I'm just going to go like that. And then just keep going this way. And these lines are going in this direction, so I kind of want to cross that direction. Like that. This process takes a little while, but when you see what we have at the end, I think that you'll really appreciate the hard work that you put into it. There. And I'm just going to kind of go around and see if I missed any areas here that look like there might be some white in here. Okay, now I'm going to take it back and put it back this way. Now, this is going to be kind of more of a, I don't know if we want to call it labor intensive. But I'm going to want to bring my pencil kind of all the way across this way, as much as we can. And cover the whole area. You can leave a little bit of this area if you'd like to. So what's happening here is we're just getting another nice little layer. This is a new layer of pencil going this way, a new layer of shading going this way. But when we go over this area here, this part's going to get even darker. And that's really what we want. We want that to get darker. So I'm going to go all the way across, really slowly. Again, this might seem to be the most tedious part of this. And as you learn to do this, you can discover new ways of doing things too. I've made these spheres in so many different ways. But I'm just trying to show you the basic way of doing it. Maybe the easiest way that I can think of when you're dealing with a lot of space that you're drawing over, like this. Now, something that I think that I've missed is probably maybe missing some of the edges of here when I'm going, and that's okay. because what we're going to do is we're going to go back over that space a little bit more and even darken it in a little bit more. So remember that little dividing mark that we made right here? What we're going to do is we're going to go over this area again, just like that, and it's going to make it even darker. The thing about drawing is, especially if you want to do a really nice job, you want things to look real, you have to start out really lightly, and then you want to build up your darks. My old art teacher, Mr. Chase, I'd bring him something and I'd say, what do you think? And then he'd say, darker, Mr. Jardy, darker. So I have to take my paper back, my drawing back, and then I'd have to draw all my darks even darker. And what I discovered is that he was right. He was correct. Problem is, it just takes a lot longer to do that, that's all. But you have to be patient when you're drawing. So I'm probably going to do a little bit of cross-hatching even on this too. Notice how I'm holding my pencil. That's not a normal way to hold a pencil, is it? But this is probably one of the ways that I can make things easier for me, especially when I'm using the side of the pencil and I'm actually covering more ground this way. Okay, I'm trying to cover into this little area. That's our dividing line that we used. We kind of divided that moon up. And now you'll see that this area is darker. This area is kind of a little bit just dark. This is darker. And then this area here is the lightest area that we have. So now I'm going to cross-hatch this area here. I'll do it really slowly. I'm going to take my time. And because my strokes would be probably too long, I mean, I could do it this way. See how I'm doing that? And then I'm just moving slowly in, like a printer would. Goes in lines. So you can cover the whole area. I think what I'm probably going to do is I'm probably going to cover this area like this, and then just kind of keep moving forward. Maybe cover half of it or so. And then I'll go to the next part, like over here. And just get used to doing it that way. And everything that I'm doing is kind of cross-hatching here. Making sure that I'm cross-hatching. We'll get to the edge here and we'll see that there's some light. Light. I want to keep this area kind of light. Since this is where the light is actually coming from, over here, we want to keep this area light. Feel free to move your paper a little bit. That makes things easier, especially if your fingers just, your hand that's holding the pencil is getting tired of kind of moving around, bending around. Okay. So now we've got this area kind of cleared in. And take a look at and just notice how we have, this is what we call a gradation. Gradient. It's in light, a little darker, even more dark, darker here. So they call this a gradation. So now I'm going to kind of show you the magical part of all of this. If you're drawing, it looks like this. You want to make sure that you have all these little tiny white spaces just gone. If everything's looking pretty even coated, so to speak, here's what we're going to do next. Next we're going to take probably a Kleenex. You could take a paper towel. I'm going to take a Kleenex for now. See how well that works. And then you can take it like this, maybe fold it up once or twice, and then put your finger right here. It's like you're covering your finger, like you're giving your finger a little blanket. And then I'm going to start on this side, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to push down, and I'm just going to go like this. Push down, and just kind of slowly give it pressure. Like you're wiping it, clean. But you want to push it down slowly, and then just keep pushing. And this is one of those, I think we talked at the beginning of the year, we were talking about the power of line. This is kind of a power of line too. So if you do this in kind of more of a circular direction, you're going to have more of a circular angle to your shadow. So like this. Take your time doing this too. Don't go like this and just kind of like this. You want to kind of just blend everything, because that's really what you're doing, is you're blending it into the paper. You're pushing it into the paper. Okay, so now we have something that looks a little bit more like a ball. And if I was wanting to make this look a little bit better, which I think I do, I'm going to spend a little bit more time on this. You might think that it looks good, but you can see this nice line that we put in here is kind of a divider line. When we first started out, we did a moon that was about like this. This is kind of a nice little divider line. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to add a little bit more dark here, because like I said, my art teacher said darker, Mr. Jardy. And so I'm looking at this and I'm noticing that I don't have as much of a dark end on this side here. So I'm going to make this little marking here to kind of divide that up one more time. You don't have to do it this way. I'm just kind of being picky, but I really want this edge to be darker, because when you have an object that's the farthest away from the light's coming from here, this edge here is always going to be the darkest, because it's not seeing hardly any light. The only light that it's really seeing is light that's bouncing off of wherever it's sitting. There we go. Now we're kind of darkening this up a little bit more. Really, the trick to shading and changing tone is really this line of just moving very, very slowly over. Again, kind of like I said, like a printer does, if you've ever seen a printer work. There we go. So now I can take that kind of like Kleenex or paper towel or whatever it is that you use, and you can go over that again. And that should give it a nice smooth look. I'm going to get over here. Now I'm going to kind of go around like that. Now we've done a lot of the work right there. If you want some really bright spot to show where this light is, you can take your pencil. I use one of these, but since a lot of you guys might not have kneaded erasers yet, what I'm going to do is I'm going to try just doing some really light strokes right about here. Maybe I'm kind of guessing. I'm assuming that the light's going to kind of hit maybe right here. Okay, so I'm going to do something really lightly. I'm just barely touching my paper. It's just kind of just sitting there. I'm just kind of guiding it like that, like that. And then I'll try to make maybe kind of a circle, because a lot of light that's reflected is circular in nature. Okay, so now I got like this little reflected point. So it's going to be the brightest part of our ball here. And then I'm going to do it again. I'm going to take some paper towel, put it on my finger, and then I'm going to kind of soften up the area. Maybe I'll soften up the whole thing like this. Then you won't see those eraser marks in there so much. You see, we've got that nice little light mark there, and then it's lighter here, and it gets darker and darker and darker. And you can continue to go over this. I want to add some more dark parts. Now I can take off the tape, just kind of very carefully. You should be able to probably maybe just now grab the edge of the tape and then just kind of pull it off. Once you get one of them, the rest of them should come off. You can blow on it, and all of a sudden you have yourself a little ball. Hold this upside down like that so it doesn't stick. So now we have a sphere, we have a ball. And the light is coming here, and I'd like to put some kind of shadow underneath this ball just to show you that it's not floating in the air. Although if you want yours to just float there, that's okay to do that. Light's coming this way, so I want to make sure that there's kind of this little circle underneath, and this doesn't really have to be perfect. The lesson today is really more about shading than getting your light directions perfect. Most of the time, though, you know, if you're standing and the sun's over here and you're here, your shadow's going to be behind you rather than in front of you if you're facing the sun. So that's what's going to happen here, is the shadow's going to be mostly behind this ball, and it's going to be kind of circular. I'm going to go like that, just really lightly to start out with. And then maybe just put like a little circle here. This is not perfect, not really intended to. This is kind of giving you an idea that, hey, this ball is on the ground. Now, what you do out here is this part of the shadow is going to try to be a little bit darker than the ball itself, because we're going to pretend that this ball is actually kind of a lighter ball. So we do the same thing that we did before. I'll tell you what, if you want to make this easier, remember when we used the tracing thing, is take these little circle templates that came out of there, and you can tape them down if you want to. You want to tape the sides down, you sure can. I'll just demonstrate how to do that right now. I'll tape this down right here, just for a moment. Or maybe I'll tape this area here just for a moment too. Since I'm already machining this spot, I'm just going to tape it down here, like that. And this will make this part of it easier too. So I'll just do that same thing. I push down here, so it doesn't go underneath there. And then I'm just going to go and shade underneath there. Go back and forth, pretty slowly. Just like that. And then I'm going to go underneath this area. I'm going to try to get that darker than it is right now. Really want to make sure that is probably the darkest area that we have of the whole drawing. And so in order to do that, you're just going to have to kind of keep going over this area. You can press down harder on this. Just do it slowly. Slowly like a printer. And then as you get out further, you can be a little lighter. So we want our darker areas to be kind of right around this area here. You can cross hatch right here if you want to. We'll do the same kind of blending on this part. So make it a little bit darker here. Hopefully we're getting darker than the sphere itself. And this is all, this part of it's just all experiment, because if you don't have something to visualize, like an actual picture of a sphere, you may not know exactly where this shadow is positioned, how dark it is. So we're kind of using our imagination on this part. Take it like that. Make it a little bit darker. And if you need to get in there afterwards, that's okay. You can always reuse this template. Try to get really dark there. And then, I know right now you'd think that, hey, it's done. But if you want to try something super cool that makes this stand out even more, what we're going to do is we're going to probably remove this piece of tape here, because we're going to use the circle here. We're going to go up to this area and we're going to give a background. So we're going to do the same thing. It's going to be nice and light. Okay, so now that we've gotten all of this done on the outside, and again, this is something you don't have to do, but it's always a nice addition to the drawing. So, what you do is you take your paper and kind of move it along the edges, just like you would be drawing, just like we blended before. Blend on the outside, and then just kind of half of your Kleenex or your paper towel can be on this, and half of it can be off, and you're kind of getting all of the edges, making sure that you're getting all the edges. And then just slowly go all the way around Just like that. The edges are the most important because you can do the other part later when you do that. Take that. Take that right here. And you can even do this where the shadow is now. Kind of blend that in. If you haven't done that already. Like that. Then you can kind of see the result. Just pull this piece of paper off. Do like that. And you'll see the sphere that you have here. And you see that there's a little bit of a glow on the outer edge there. I don't know if the paper cutout didn't exactly match on this one. I don't have the exact same circle that I cut out from. But if you're careful, just do this really slowly, you can pretty easily cover in the light areas like that. Just really lightly, just very slowly, you can kind of get that and maybe even blend it out a little bit. Again, the point of this exercise is not so much to get everything perfect, but it's just giving you a really nice introduction to how to do shadow, how to do tone, how to blend smoothly from one tone to another, from a lighter tone to a darker tone, and a darker tone to a lighter tone. You see I've got this little spot right here. This spot shouldn't be dark, it should be light, so I'm going to just add a little bit on here. Do it really slowly, and you'll be able to see how that kind of slowly disappears. But just notice that I'm taking my time, not really in a huge hurry. And that's how I end up doing most of my drawings, is just taking my time. And then you'll notice that once I do that, these nice little white spots that I don't want in my drawing disappear. Okay. And then I can take a little piece of Kleenex again, or whatever it is, just lightly go over this spot. There. Now it's fixed. And that's really the finished sphere. You can spend some time on the outside if you want to. You don't really have to, though, unless you're working on an actual drawing that you want to be real on the outside, or just to smooth out. Hopefully that you enjoyed this part of it, and then you can go on and move on to creating some other spheres and learning how to do squares. Noticing the bottom part of my sphere here isn't really standing out. I really want to stand out, so I'm going to put a little bit more dark underneath here. That's the way that it would appear if you actually saw it in real life. There would be some dark here. It for today. Maybe zoom in on that a little bit.